What's going on, everybody? You can see the red is a sell video. Generate Talent was good, back again. Just to outline 4 players I'd like to sell at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. So let's start it off. Most of the players on this list are pretty young, coming off their rookie years, 3 out of 4. But the first one that's going to kick us off is going to be Dak Prescott. And I want to show you Dak Prescott's 2025. Now, as you can see, very impressive. They had the top offense in the league. Javonte Williams worked out well for them. Pickens worked out well for them. Dak Prescott's 33 years old. His best games were week 4 and 5. Kind of dropped off toward the end of the year. Had some duds in the beginning too. But ended up in the top 10 fantasy quarterback. So Dak Prescott, someone a lot of people will be buying just with the possible wide receivers of Pickens and Lamb back again for the new year. Granted that Pickens doesn't get dealt. Some exciting things there. But what I've noticed with Dak Prescott, which is really crazy, is how he falls off every other year. But we'll get to that in just a second. Let's look at where they have Dak Prescott. Okay, they have him. This is the Flock Fantasy rankings for Dynasty Fantasy Football. They have Dak Prescott. He's currently 32.7. When the season starts, he'll be 33. He was number 6 quarterback with 268 points. And this was all off his arm. He doesn't run. I think he runs about 10 yards a game. So you're not getting anything on that side of the ball. So you're totally reliant that he's going to put up the passing numbers a la, Joe Burrow. You pretty much have to have a Joe Burrow season out of Dak Prescott every year for him to finish in that top 6. So he was number 6. He's in the C tier with Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, and Bo Nix. Now, I might take Dak Prescott over a couple of those guys. But again, with the age, something to start thinking about. Quarterbacks probably play another 5 years. Dak will probably play till like 38. We'll see. Some questions there, but here comes the fall off, right? So this is what I wanted to show you. For whatever reason, and this is a stupid stat, this is a dumb way to bet as well, but looking at Dak Prescott, every other year he gets hurt and falls off. It's really weird. So in 2025, obviously that number 6 season, 2024, only played about half the games, was ranked number 32. Obviously, you don't play, you can't help your club from in the tub. 2023, elite season, 3rd best quarterback. Then a year prior to that, 18th, and only played 12 games. So Dak Prescott's injury history's got to plague him here. I'm just basing it on the every other year syndrome that Dak Prescott seems to run into as of late. I know it's a crazy take, but I think Dak Prescott holds some pretty good value with the receivers that he currently has, and I think there's a chance that Pickens still gets dealt. So while we're all really hyped about Dak Prescott's number 1 offense in the Cowboys, I think this would be a great time to sell. At the odds that he repeats last year, plays a full healthy season, has both CeeDee Lamb and Pickens. It's just a lot of variables that I don't really want to bet on. So here we go. I promised you 3 sophomores right after. So we're moving to the running back tier. Travion Henderson is where I want to start. So he's a 23-year-old back. Even in college, didn't get a majority of the snaps. Pretty much took half the snaps. I believe it was with Quinshon Judkins. And with this back, he's a home run hitter. We've seen him blow up for 60-plus yard touchdowns. And if that's your league, if they pay for big-time runs like that, this guy might be a little bit more valuable. But for the simple fact that watching the Patriots down the stretch, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't watch them a whole lot in the beginning, down the stretch, they really favored Ramondre in the trusted hand, even though he fumbled at the goal line and different things like that. The trust wasn't there in Henderson, and I don't know if that's Mike Vrabel just making the rookie work for his snaps and everything like that, but I could see it being more of a split backfield. Most teams are now split backfields, and that is what it is, right? 50% snaps between him and Ramondre, both not going to be able to produce at heavy ranks based on that. But here we go. This is where they have Trey right now on Flock Fantasy. You see him currently, where they have him at running back 12. He was up at running back 7 earlier, a couple weeks ago. And that's where I was really selling. Running back 12, probably more fair for him, right behind Breece Hall in the C tier, amongst Kyron Williams, McCaffrey, and Judkins. Obviously, I would take Travion Henderson over Kyron Williams just with his split. I don't favor that. Christian McCaffrey, I'm out on Dynasty, just a crapshoot, right? He wins you the league or loses you the league, which might be a good year, right? If you want to lose this league or win this league, not be somewhere in the middle, Christian McCaffrey's your guy. Because if you strike out, you have your 2027 first overall pick, And if he booms, then you got some money in your pocket. So that's cool too. And I probably would take Travion Henderson over Quinshon Judkins just in the fact that Quinshon Judkins doesn't receive the ball, doesn't catch the ball. But I would still take Breece Hall over him. Now, dropping down to the D tier, I'd rather have Saquon Barkley. I'd rather have a couple of these guys, Travis Etienne, in exchange for Travion Henderson. So I do think he's a sell candidate. He's already dropped a couple spots. That's why you see the down arrow with 2. But I think it's like a free fall from here. You got Ramondre, and you might even draft a running back in the draft that's going to get in the mix. I just don't think Travion is really that alpha that people are pegging him to be in taking a majority of the snaps in New England. Speaking of Philly, Philly has agreed on a spit handshake, and we know how those go after the Raiders and Ravens trade with Crosby. But they've agreed on a spit handshake that June 2nd, A.J. Brown will be joining the New England Patriots. This only takes away from Travion's workload, I would think. It might stretch the offense. They might score a little more. But I don't think this really helps Travion, maybe a little bit to Ramondre, in that they'll be winning more games by a higher margin. There we go. Another young buck. And I actually love this kid. I bet on him the first round of the playoffs to go over his number. I think it was 55 receiving yards. And he cashed that easy. But let's talk about it. Ted McMillan had a great year. He's in the ranks with Drake London, which is a big problem for me because I think Drake London is raw. I think Drake London is the closest thing to being elite without being elite, like right knocking on that door. So to put Ted McMillan right behind Drake London, I'm not really feeling that. Ted McMillan finished with an average of 12.5 fantasy points per game. He finished at receiver 18. He's out there for 90% almost of the snap count on 4 receptions, 60 yards on average. Now, with this, I don't think Carolina's offense is going to be better this year. I think Jonathan Brooks is going to be the number 1 back. Hubbard will be in there as well. The receiving core, I know there's some Coke boys out there that love Jalen Coker. I'm not really that guy. I don't think Bryce Young is good. I think he kind of slipped in on a weak division into the playoffs. I don't think this offense is going to be that much better. So Tet, a year older, in the offseason, he's dropping the N-word and having people question like who he is and if he's even eligible to say that word. So one of those guys that in the offseason just finding ways to stay relevant in the wrong ways. You know I'm always fading that as well, even though it's minor to some. I just don't see him in this B tier with Drake London, George Pickens, and Chris Olave. I could see him much more in the C tier with Nico Collins. I think that's a misplacement, and I think they'll adjust soon. I think the age of 22 just gets people hyped, or 23 when the season starts. That's Ted McMillan. I'm selling the Carolina offense. I don't think they're going to be much better than last year, and last year supported Ted McMillan to be a 17th overall receiver, not in the likes of top 12, top 10. That's crazy. Wide receiver 1. Not yet, Ted. I could see it. He's a big kid, like 6'4", big frame out of Arizona. But I don't think it's his time just yet to really make that elite wide receiver 1 tier. Last but not least, we have Oronde Gadsden II. And with Gadsden, I like it, but he's getting way too much hype. Right now, just released on Roto World, the top of the Roto World, it says that Mike McDaniel is going to maximize Oronde Gadsden's talent. And with that, it really just gets people talking. And it's too much heat right now for Gadsden for me. I like a lot of tight ends. Some other tight ends in his tier that I really like. You know, I love Dalton Kincaid. Not big on Sam Laporta with the back injury coming off the back. But that's the C tier. Laporta, Gadsden, and Kincaid. And I'm taking Kincaid over all of them. But ahead of them, I mean, I'd much rather up tier to a Kyle Pitts, a Harold Fannin, Tyler Warren, Loveland. I just don't think Gadsden is going to return that value. He'll be 23 when the season starts. He was the 15th best tight end last year on an average of almost 9 points in fantasy, which just isn't enough. 3 receptions, 45 yards, not sustainable. They have a lot of tools in that Chargers offense. I think Trey Harris takes a jump this year. I think Ladd McConkey bounces back, and there just won't be those touches for Oronde Gadsden. I think the team's going to be a lot better. I'm buying on Herbert, but with the team being better, they're up in more games. I think it benefits Omarion Hampton a lot more than anyone else with it being a better team this year. I got to get a picture with my sell video. These are my 4 sells coming into the year of 2026. Dak Prescott, for what we showed every other year, he tends to play about half the games, not be as productive off of elite seasons. I don't know why that is, but I'm going to follow the trend there. McMillan, we think he hits maybe a sophomore wall. Also not buying in the Carolina offense. McMillan finished at wide receiver 17 last year on very few receptions. I just don't think that's sustainable. He's got to get more targets if he wants to be in that elite tier near Drake London. Travion Henderson won't get the workload. Just a split backfield with Ramondre Stevenson. We'll see what they do in the draft if they're bringing another running back in to that carousel to just make things more colluded. And last but not least, Oronde Gadsden, just in a busy Los Angeles offense, that he's going to be like the fourth or fifth option. And I just don't think that's going to help when it comes to getting the ball and getting those big time catches, end zone looks, stuff like that. They just have a lot of tools that they can rely on. Mike McDaniel is going to up that offense, but I don't think it's truly going to benefit Oronde Gadsden. But it will bring up the, what do they say? It'll bring up the boats around him as the high tide rises. A lot to look forward to in that Chargers offense. But that's it for me today. Generate Talent. I appreciate you guys watching. These are 4 sells. Sell them now while the hype is high. Peace.